98.9.
Good morning, and welcome to another episode of Island Tea, your faves, Kevon and Azem, featuring Jade, Gwyneth Johnson.
Morning.
Where's Gwen?
Gwen here.
Fixing technical issues, you know.
Oh, okay.
My usual.
Okay.
Morning.
Hold on.
We have to jump straight into our Cross Caribbean link up because our friends are
Yeah,
on the
so-
line.
It's time.
Yeah, it is.
Ready? Are we ready, ladies and gentlemen?
Yep, we are
Ladies
ready.
and gentlemen? Okay. Hello. Morning, Kevon.
How are you doing? Morning.
We're doing fine. If you heard a voice just now, the voice of a much softer tone than us gentlemen, it's that of Senator Sean Nicholas. She's the General Secretary of the United Progressive Party. She serves in the upper house here in Antigua and Barbuda. One of, how many ladies in the Senate?
We have
Yes,
the majority now, so I think it's 9, a total of 9
Wow.
ladies in the Senate.
9 women in the
yes.
Senate.
Nine.
See, you don't have that. That's something we can brag on you in Antigua, yeah? Kevon, you love to brag on me every week. I think that's some bragging rights there for you.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah, that is great, honestly. I would love to see that here as well.
Okay.
Yeah,
there you go.
push for it. And I know my good friend Hazel Brandy Williams, she's a fighter down there, so y'all need to support her to make sure that you have more women, fighting with her.
All right. Kevon is nodding his head in agreement. All right.
I am agreeing, for sure.
So, well, we'll let you, Kevon, you can open the batting. Perform a Desmond Haynes act here and tell us what's happening in St Kitts with your vaccination program. I suppose that's also, a dominant story in St Kitts as it is here in Antigua. Tell us what's happening with that.
Well, now we are up to, we have hit with first dose, the first doses, we've hit 40.2% of the target population. And we've just begun administering second doses. And right now we are just under 1% for the first dose. Fully vaccinated persons so far, 277. And like I said, we just started administering second doses. And first doses, we have 13,558.
Okay. All right. Yeah, you're getting there.
Yeah, getting there. It's a bit slow, but we're getting there.
May I ask a question? In my other life, I'm a journalist,
Yeah,
right?
sure, go ahead.
Good morning. What has been the general reaction of your population in terms of coming forward to be vaccinated?
Well, initially, what we saw is a lot of the foreigners, in terms of like the expats and a lot of the diplomats and stuff. They're the ones who have really been coming forward. In the first stages, they were the ones that showed up first. The population itself, there seems to be some hesitation, and I think it, unfortunately, came from the fact that St. Kitts is, so to speak, COVID-free. I feel like a lot of the people are asking the question, why take it if there is no COVID in the country? So it's, like a double-edged sword. So it's a bit of a push to get persons vaccinated.
Right.
All right. So has there been any recent pronouncement by the Prime Minister as it relates to the vaccination rollout?
So I said that again?
Has the Prime Minister weighed in on the vaccinations?
Not to my knowledge recently. I don't recall. Let me rephrase. I haven't watched any updates in terms of any press releases he's had.
Well, there does seem to be some like a constant encouragement being done by the government. So whether it's the Prime Minister or ministers of government, along with the health officials, they constantly try to address concerns and consistently try to encourage people to go out and take the vaccine. But we haven't seen, let's say, some announcement speaking directly to a push towards mandatory vaccinations or anything of that sort.
Yeah, well, certainly a discussion here in Antigua and Barbuda. And what's happening with the opposition? Are they playing any role in encouraging their supporters to, get vaccinated?
Yes, there has been word coming out from the opposition, more so encouraging people to take the vaccination. Perhaps in some cases, some criticism of the strategies implemented, but generally there's an encouragement. But you know how politics is and how polarizing things are. It seems as though the politicization of the rollout campaign has seen some people, at least from my talkings and dealings with some people, it seems as though it's coming along political lines. I heard one person tell somebody, "Oh, you're going to take Tim vaccine," and that kind of thing. So that's definitely at play. But generally, the opposition has encouraged people towards vaccination.
Right. We don't have that problem here.
I don't think we do. I think, as we always say, it's not a political issue. We know why people need to become vaccinated. And as you've seen, some leaders of the opposition have publicly done so and have been encouraging people here to go out and be vaccinated.
Yeah, so we don't have that challenge here, and that's good. That's a good thing.
But I've been very curious. We actually did an article here where it seems as though Prime Minister Gaston Brown did make some announcements in regards to a push towards mandatory vaccination. What's the response been to that?
It depends on who you ask, but I think I will invite my guest, Senator Nicholas, to comment on it.
I would say in one word, it's outrage. People are not pleased with that pronouncement at all. As I had a conversation earlier with Darren to say that a number of the people who have refused or have delayed the taking of the first jab is not persons who are quote-unquote anti-vaxxers. But for various reasons, there are people who are saying that they're waiting. A lot of people are saying they're waiting on the Cuban vaccine because anything that Cuba puts out, they will trust. And there are also those who are saying, for a vaccine to be developed within the space of a year and being administered, it's a little too soon. And they want time to see, whatever effects it might have on the human body. So it's not a situation where everybody who has not yet been vaccinated is saying that we are against it. So for the Prime Minister to come out and say, get vaccinated or else, it's not resting easy with the population. And which is our argument that we need to do far more public education and awareness to win over people to get buy-in into the vaccination program. One thing I forgot to mention earlier, Darren, is the whole move of now making the vaccine available to people, because we've seen the mobile units being set up and going out into communities. I think that's an excellent initiative, because we've heard the criticisms in the past that especially our elderly and others who had to traverse far areas to get access to it. It is now becoming available in the various communities. So, I mean, we have to do what we have to do. It's not an easy time that we're in. And I guess, as members of the public, we just need to see that we have to do this in order to survive. And, sometimes we have to think that it's not so much about us, but for our families, our communities in which we live. And the pronouncements of mandatory vaccination, I'm just saying that is the wrong message that we're sending at this time when we're trying to get buy-in from the public.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
Any follow-up? By the way, I want to ask you, Kevon or Azem or Jade, the medical school. I understand that you now have 100 students who came into St Kitts to Ross University, I believe it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. We had some students returning.
Oh, they were students who were there before that left after the pandemic or during the pandemic?
Yeah, well, if I can remember correctly, I might be wrong, but what happened is when a lot of students left the country during the pandemic, when the pandemic first started, and only the final year students were allowed to return initially. So I think now they might be either opening it up to other years, or this year's final year is now attending.
Okay, so that what's the full enrollment at that university, or what was the enrollment before the pandemic?
I'm not entirely sure.
I for sure don't
I'm not
know.
entirely sure. What is what is important to note though is that the students at that university and some of the other medical universities here as well did make up a huge amount of the renting population. They were a huge contributor to the economy.
Mm-hmm.
So having those students no longer be on island has really had some serious economic impacts across the board.
I can imagine. Let me ask this follow up, and I don't know if Senator Nicholas has a question as well. But the relief, or the stimulus that the government offered previously, is that still going on, or is the government talking about new stimulus? Are they providing additional relief, economically relief, to those who've been displaced by the pandemic?
No, the initial stimulus package that has expired. However, there are several initiatives being put in place to try and ease the burden placed on some of the population because of COVID. So, and some of them are specific to certain industries. So, for instance, farmers are getting relief in terms of like the water bills, and I think electricity bills and stuff like that. And there are negotiations now for certain other industries. So, for instance, like the entertainment industry that has been asked to take a step back to try and help the country recover. So.
Someone is telling me that there's over 500 students at RUSVM, which is Ross.
Yeah, Ross. Yeah.
Yeah, Ross University.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, no, I'm interested in hearing a bit more about the relief that is being offered, because my question would be, in terms of state machinery, what sort of support is being given to people who are either unemployed, underemployed, And you made mention of people in the entertainment industry. What exactly is the government offering, to assist them at a time like this?
Well, in particular, the entertainment industry, that has not been fully fleshed out as yet, to my knowledge. Or it hasn't been announced. But there are talks recognizing that that's one of the harder hit industries. There are, so for instance, during the Prime Minister's budget address, he outlined several of these programs that were going to be continuing. Initially, there was help for persons who had loans. There were persons who had loans. There were persons who so they what was it? They did a
Memorandum.
no moratorium. That's what it is.
Moratorium.
Yeah, to try and assist with persons who had loans at the banks. But again, a lot of it is based on certain criteria, not necessarily just across the board assistance. But there were several initiatives being put in place. Some of which I don't want to say exactly. I don't want to misspeak.
Yes.
But there were several initiatives being put in place that were announced during his budget address.
Mm-hmm. What do folks in think? I mean, you have a lot of call-ins on your program, right? On a daily basis. It's an interactive program, right?
Yeah, it is.
What are people most concerned about based on the calls you get?
Well, I mean, the truth is that we kind of daily here we talk about whatever is whatever passes across our timelines really, and so the callers tend to stick to what we're discussing on that particular day. Of course, COVID is always one of those things that comes up. We do a vaccine update daily, and so we do have some callers who call in and speak about that. We did have discussion on whether or not the measures being put in place, or let's say the encouragement by the government and by some of the bigger employers on the island, if that constitutes mandatory vaccination or not by some other term, and generally the callers at least really don't seem to support that type of move, but yeah, I know, and as a matter of fact, we're getting a message now saying that the health sector is really looking to open with widespread vaccination here. So perhaps, I know there's been moves to make it more available by making the places that and initially it was one health center, I think. But by now it's moved. Yeah, it's many across the island. Also,
They also come to your jobs.
They come to your jobs. They facilitate coming to person's place of work. Also, they even in some cases facilitating like weekend vaccination. So different ways to try and get people to really come out and take the vaccine. So a lot of the conversation is centered around the vaccination, as one might expect.
Yeah, understood. Do either of you have a question for Senator Nicholas before we wrap? Because we are almost out of time.
And I have a quick question after.
All right, go ahead. Any question for Senator? No?
Well, is it? I know you're speaking about or asking about the relief efforts here. Is there a general feeling that the government is doing what it can to try and help and alleviate some of the pressures that has been placed on the general public because of COVID and the restrictions?
I think people are saying more can be done, and what we are seeing currently is it's more Labour Party, the supporters of the ruling government, who are in line to benefit rather than across population. In fact, I don't know where I heard the Prime Minister. I'm not sure where he was speaking when he made mention that no member of the Labour Party will go hungry. No member of the Labour Party, if they're out of job, would not get help. And I'm not sure if he was speaking in his personal capacity or as Prime Minister, because suffering knows no color. And I know there are people who say that they are still waiting to get help. They're still waiting to get relief, and they're not supporters of the party. So I know that for sure is a matter of concern for us here.
Oh wow, that. All right. And you said you had a question?
Yeah, I just want to talk a little politics. I see Sean Richards making his pitch being to be the next prime minister. What's the latest on that? Is it his turn now?
Well, that has kind of been echoed for a while.
Uh-huh.
The current prime minister has always said that he's doing 2 terms,
Yes.
but some people here have been saying that they would like him to do more. Will he do that? It's left to see, but currently the other side is people saying they want Sean or they want Mr. Brantley. So we're just waiting to see what will happen with that one.
So do you think that is an argument that is taking up steam, or it's just academic talk?
Well, as I said, it's been happening for a while, so I don't think people have really been focused on it. I mean, when he said it again, I think it had a little steam, but currently I don't really hear people talking about it.
I think one, bear in mind that announcement was made at a convention, which
Yeah.
is
Yes.
and also
Expected.
previous just before that, that was maybe 2 weeks also before that, at the People's Labour Party's convention, there was a speaker who tried to encourage the Prime Minister to do more, you know. I guess saying that they like the job he was doing, and they would like him, encouraging him to do another term. But so I think all that was a bit, you know, it was a bit in response to that.
So it's not that we're seeing cracks in the union.
Well, from outside looking in, I don't think that's the case. The Prime Minister has been consistent in saying that he will do 2 terms, and he has, again, this is something that he has been saying even right after the last election, that he puts his support behind Mr. Sean Richards for the next Prime Minister.
Okay. All right. It will be interesting to watch.
Indeed.
All right, lady and gents, we have to take our leave. We're going to Jamaica after this to discuss a Caribbean sport and entertainment content showcase.
Okay.
So we gotta leave it there, unfortunately. Wish we could talk a little more, but we already set the time.
Yes. Again, pattern is always such sweet sour when we speak to you guys.
I quite agree. Quite agree. All right, so thank you so much.
All right, thank you. Take care.
We'll do this again, Lord willing, next week. Hopefully, next time we'll mix it. We always mix it up. We'll see where we go next, which island we'll go to next time.
Yes.
Awesome.
All right.
Okay.
All right,
bye-bye. Have a great weekend.
All right,
You as well.
All right. Those are our friends from Island Tea.
Yeah.
And that was your Cross Caribbean link up.
Yes.
Very interesting, eh? Very interesting. I remember when we spoke about the announcements by the Prime Minister. And we say it here all the time. I don't understand. Let me not put it that way. I don't know if there's a politician here now who has the standing to be able to say things in the way that Gaston said it in Antigua.
Azem, that cannot happen. Our politicians, right? One thing they know better than to do is say certain things, okay? And I just find it very interesting that he says things out loud. I mean, it's commemorable. That's the word, right?
Commendable.
Commendable, yes. Because, we always ask for our politicians to be transparent, I should say. But
Well, I mean, again, I guess
the man doesn't hold his words, okay? He says what he feels, and if y'all don't like it, oh well.
Well, see, I guess my issue does be sometimes I could appreciate you being open and honest about your thoughts and feelings, but then I have to question your thoughts and feelings.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure he knows that people do that all the time.
Yeah,
I know he doesn't. And it's funny because no matter what he says, well, not no matter what he says, but most of the things that he says, they always use this picture. That picture is always a funny picture. This Hitler-esque picture on those statements. Like, he could be talking, like he could say something about a puppy, they're gonna use a regular Gaston picture, but as soon.
Yeah, but I think he keeps saying certain things that are controversial. I think that it seems to me like he likes being in that position.
You think so?
Yeah. Yeah.
I think so too.
Yeah, I think
And I think,
he likes the
based on a lot
conversation
of
being centered around him.
based on a lot of Antiguans, a lot of Antiguans have also been saying that that's just him. Like he kind of enjoys being that person.
Do you guys think that that would backfire for him next election? Like his comments, his the things that he puts out. Do you think that?
I don't think so, because when we also have a way of chalking it up to people just being that's how they are. So it's not like he was he was just this saint, this perfect figurehead, and then suddenly he just started doing what he's doing now. He's sort of always been this way. So I don't think people would be really making decisions heavily based on that, because to them that's just him.
Well, I mean, I don't know enough about the Antiguan political landscape, but I would say that if a politician believes that he has a majority, a popular vote, and he has a majority of the support, like he has a favorable amount of support at the time, because of the tribal nature of because of the tribal nature of some of the islands and how people support parties blindly, it might give you a license to, to go out on a limb a bit, especially if the temperature that he's feeling when he does it is one of support. And because sometimes people like these things.
But that's the thing.
People like these things.
I feel like Caribbean politics is this. People love that politician that will say these type of things, who speaks his mind, and you know where he stands. I
think that's it. I think more.
That will like confusion too.
Yeah, I think it's more the confusion.
Yeah, really
I think what happens is that we tend to look at politics similar to how we look at team sports. So it's like I'm for this team, and anything that anyone from my team does that puts down the other side, I support. Not necessarily seeing it as a situation where these are people that we give a mandate to work for all of us, because you're not the Prime Minister of the Labour Party or the opposition or the Unity or the PAM or whatever. You're supposed to be the leader for the country, but a lot of times, even after election, we stay in election mode. We there's these hard party lines that are drawn, and so the rhetoric that comes from even elected officials runs along those lines, bearing in mind that perhaps they see it as a way to help guarantee re-election in the next elections.
I kind of feel like it's simmered down a bit. I don't feel like the...
You mean in St Kitts?
Yes.
Yes, I agree.
You see it too, right? Like,
well,
it used to be wild, okay? The things that politicians used to say to each other publicly used to be way more outlandish than they are right now.
Well, I don't even know if they say to each other. Sometimes it's what they would say to the supporters of the other things. They would say things to the media. Like some of the things that I've heard said to journalists have just been like wild, right? But and that's what I keep saying. Whether or not you support team unity, whether or not you support how the Honorable Timothy Harris moved from the Labour Party, started his own party, branched off, all of that. Whether or not you agree with any of that or support it, I do believe that more so than any of his policies that he may implement during the time, and I do believe that we have to wait and see how the COVID thing actually plays out. I think we're not at the end of the saga. But more so than any of the policies that he may implement or whatever, I think one of the lasting legacies would be ushering in a situation where some of the tribalism may have died down a bit. We've seen open support from people who identify as Labour voting for a candidate who is not on a Labour ticket. We see people who identify as PAM voting for a candidate who does not identify as who's not on a PAM ticket, and openly doing so, openly showing support, that kind of thing. I think that dynamic is very, very important. I think that goes a long way. Hopefully, because again, it's still being written. We're still going through all of this. We'll have to wait and see. But it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. But I do think when we look back on this particular time in our political history, I'm hoping that this ushers in an era where there is less tribalism, where people are more independent in terms of how they vote and how they make decisions and that kind of
what they say and how they interact. Because growing up, I used to see families literally fall out over politics.
Yeah, man, I don't see people get shot.
Right?
Friends arguing and cussing each other and them kind of stuff, and I'm like, why y'all so aggressive? Like, why we have to do this? We're supposed to be for the betterment of the country. We're supposed to be voting to make sure the country lasts another 4 years, and y'all behaving like we warring. Like, this is a war. Like, it's not one country that we're supposed to be doing this for. So I'm happy to see things have gotten better over the years. I feel like they've gotten better. It's left to see what happens next general election, because
yeah, I think
people can switch back easily, but
I really think it comes down to also not just the development of the PLP and the unity construct and all of that. I do believe that it also has to do with a change in generation. I think a lot of young people just aren't as blindly loyal to one party or the other. I think a lot of us are, as education has increased, you have a lot of people going off to study, coming back. I think these are the kind of things that also aiding. So I think it's this whole
the new era of voters.
Well, we have to wait and see, but I do believe that we have an opportunity now. I think are we going to capitalize on that opportunity? We'll have to wait and see. And when I say we, I'm talking directly about the voters, the politicians. I think a lot of where we go from here is solely dependent on the attitudes of the voters towards politics, towards elections, how we make decisions. Are we going to hold politicians accountable, or are we going to blindly follow just for the sake of being part of a team?
Somebody want to answer your question.
Good morning, caller. You're live on Island T. What's up?
Good morning. I'm listening, and I heard somebody wondering why the aggression in our politics, why the hostility. The truth is, for a long time, from ever since, a lot of people's livelihoods, their well-being depends on that politics. Okay? Even the current Prime Minister emphasized that. I think it was on the point when he basically said, "Is politics make you get that big job?" He actually said that. And so I question whether things have changed much. Even though people voted across party lines, in effect, they really didn't, what it showed was that people were still prepared to follow what the leaders of their parties, their respective parties, said to do. And if they told them to vote across a party line because this will help them to achieve power, they did it. So the subservience is still there, and I would venture to say the tribalism has not decreased one iota, right? And I don't think it will until we take, one, the money out of politics, the pandering, the Godfather-like approaches, the bribery, the corruption, all those things have to come out of politics before we really get genuine change. And that is why I think what you mentioned, coming towards the end there, about the good governance things, holding people, politicians accountable, is what's going to matter more than anything else. Okay? And otherwise, even though you may say that the young people now are more educated, they're less inclined to blindly support one party or the other, the tendency is for corruption to take place and they gradually ease into the same things that they would complain about. You know, generally, young people are rebellious, but as they grow older, some people say they're mature, some people say they have a different word for it. But basically, they fall into line of what happened before. And that is something, that's a danger, because what we risk is that the status quo remains in effect, and that would be terrible. Okay?
So Carla, curious.
Mm-hmm.
You spoke a bit about what you believe in regards to the newer generation. So you're saying that from your observation, you do not believe that the younger voters operate based on a different value system to what some of the older voters were? They have a different set of considerations? Or is it just that you're saying that, are you saying that could also be manipulated to achieve the same results?
Well, I'm saying that they do operate differently. I mean, it's like every generation operates differently to the one before, okay? Because of the natural inclination to be rebellious and sort of utopian, okay? You know, you can see it throughout all generations. But as they get older, things change, okay? They now realize that I'm not at university anymore where I live a nice, sheltered life. Now I have to go out there and provide for myself and my families. And they start looking at different options. Right? It's not a rosy picture anymore where you depended. You knew where your next meal was coming from. You knew your advancement was pushed by parents who supported you. Now you have to do these things for yourself. And despite all the education, right, you look at what is happening around you. You see how some people get ahead using the political systems that we have, okay? And you act accordingly. Unfortunately, it's unfortunate. You lose the sense that revolutionary spirit, that wanting to change things for the better spirit, and then you settle into the same old things that you criticize. Haven't you noticed that?
Well, I mean, I do have a different view in terms of the progression, how the progression happens. I do think generally, you know, when people come out of even now university or school and when they're young, I do think most people, as they progress in life, get to a place where they are more economically stable. So I don't know if I agree with the fact that, you know, you get to a point and you know,
but
it's
how
harder.
do you get there? That's the whole point. A lot of people get there through the political patronage system. I was hoping that by now we would have been, look at how many people government employ. Practically half of the people in the country, right? In that kind of system, I was hoping that the private sector would have driven the development of the country to the point where the public sector is much smaller, in which case people would be less dependent on government and on politicians for their livelihoods.
So
but it has not happened.
So you're saying, but is that not by design? Meaning, I do believe that we do have a grossly inflated wage bill.
Absolutely.
One of the times one of the statements that I've heard, I don't know, how accurate it is now is that it was almost a third of the working population was employed by the government.
Exactly.
If you include the corporations and so on, the government-controlled entities,
Right.
PEP and STEP and those things.
Right. So I think it
it's
might even
much
be
more
more
than
than
that.
that. It might be more than that now. So, but I do think that is by design. I do think that is by design. And one of the things that we're talking
You
about.
really think it's a design,
Huh?
or a result of what the people accept? You think it's some leaders or some politicians' grand design to keep?
Yes,
to
I do think.
maintain that kind of level of government intervention in the economy?
Yes, I do believe that. I do believe it's purposeful. I do believe it's purposeful. I do believe it fosters a certain sense of dependence, or even a certain sense of this feeling that you owe someone because they give you a job. I do believe that is purposeful. I don't believe that is something that was necessary and something that we just accept or whatever. I do believe that we play into the system as the general population. So
even though all politicians say the private sector is the engine of growth, they don't really believe it.
well, yeah, I do believe that they might believe that. They might believe that in terms of the money generated and what they do and stuff, but in terms of who employs the majority of the population. So maybe for foreign exchange and certain other indicators in the economy, but I do believe that it is by design that the wage bill is that high. I do believe that when people would come and tell you that they went to a politician and a politician tell them, "We'll just go down here tomorrow and tell them I send you," and them kind of things. Like you can't tell me differently.
Yeah, like when you're
So
a
the
politician.
question then is, since that is the case, and that I doubt you'll find anybody, including the people who would do it, who would say that is a good place to be. The big question now is, how do we change that mindset? That's the big question. I'd be interested to hear your views on that.
Well, my position is I don't think the people with the power to change it have a incentive to do so.
Why would they if it's working for them?
Let's create a
So
system that
basically,
could kind of
you're
make them
saying
lose.
it's going to stay like this?
No, I'm saying until there is a change in the climate where it is, at least in their mind, better for them to operate differently, they won't. I do believe that there's things that could contribute to that belief becoming, the way that they want to move forward. But as of right now, those variables really have not come into play.
But don't you think that people generally, there's nothing that can replace the dignity of work, right? And if people are able to get work by their own design and not somebody else's, don't you think you'd think that they'd prefer that system, wouldn't you?
I believe people want to be paid. I don't think that a lot of people really care where that comes from. People want to feel fulfilled in what they're doing, whether it is that they're employed by the government, self-employed, or by some other private entity. I don't think they would really care that much.
Okay. Well, you need some revolutionaries like you to change that mindset, I think.
All right, man. Thanks for calling.
All right, thanks. So somebody sent me some stats and they said, government payroll is over 6,000 persons, which amounts to about 18 million a month.
Jiggy.
So, vibes.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I think, and one of the variables that I think would contribute to the change that the caller was talking about there is when you have a situation, and we've seen it in a lot of the other islands, so it would be unwise for us to believe that we can't fall into the same or into similar position, which is government can't pay the bill. When we get to a point when the government can't pay the bill, that's when you see change.
Yep.
Someone posted a comment and they're saying, you guys must be cognizant that the world is watching and they are aware of what is happening in SKN. It is evident that something is wrong in the Team Unity government and the rumbling that is not all well with the relationship between some of the cabinet ministers and the prime minister. So
wait there. Hold on. You had to wait. Like, this is the thing for me, like, I did not, as a matter of fact, I can say this, and I think I said this here after, like, just before the last election. I didn't even expect the construct as is to last more than one or two elections,
Well, not only
I didn't
that.
think so as well, because if we have to remember what the construct was built on. The construct was technically built on this, dethroning the Labour Party, and since that was essentially done, the construct is no longer really necessary.
But not only that, I find it ridiculous where people start, like, saying there's problems in the unity construct, there's cracks. I'm like, like, what? Of course.
But not only that.
I mean, there's
what are you
cracks in
saying?
your own
But not
family.
only that, hasn't there been problems in all governments? Like, the acting like this is the first time a government has had an issue. Like,
there's cracks
this is not the first time
there's cracks in your work. There's issues in your workplace. There's issues.
It's
in your
human
friends, there's
beings
issues
we're
in your
dealing
family.
with.
There's
What you think
issues
everybody gonna just be happy,
everywhere.
go lucky every day? Like, every government would have issues. It's a government with people built on different opinions. So why is this a shocking thing?
Yeah, and not only that, so the people that said, I always wonder, like, so y'all expect this thing to last forever? Like,
But not only that, like, y'all, this is the first time y'all have seen a government have issue. I'm so confused. Like, yes, I know y'all have an agenda and y'all have to say these things, but let's be realistic here. This is not the first time a government ministry has had issues. So, like, constantly saying that, oh, look, unity have issues.
Like, duh. But yeah, guys, we have another caller. Caller, good morning. Is this the Prime Minister?
Good morning. Good morning, gentlemen and the lady.
Good morning.
I just got to put a late contribution. Let me support the lady for saying, asking who governments don't have issues. And it's not even only here. Throughout the Caribbean and wider afield. You find, sorry about that.
Mm-hmm.
You find ministers settling from one party to the next, skipping over from one party to the next and all that. It's all over, man. It's not here alone.
Right.
That's all I want to say.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, but I feel like that argument that just make me laugh sometimes. It'll be like, yeah. So people ask me all the time, so you don't think that there are problems? I say, I mean, they really like each other that much. But at the same time, it's kind of like people do have to people come together all the time to achieve whatever goal. They don't have to necessarily like each other, have the same views, whatever. Like, this is what it is. I don't believe that the coalition between the parties would necessarily last not necessarily. I don't think it will last forever. So whether it is prior to the next election, prior to the election next, like, yeah, we can and to be honest, like, I kind of looking forward to it, not to say like I'm looking forward to the dismantling of the unity construct or whatever, but I do believe that when you have strong parties and more than two, right? Because I do believe that there's advantages to, let's say we even had a one-party system like China, there's advantages to that. Two, it kind of promotes this tribalism. Three, depending on the strength of the parties and what they command, it could maybe have its own disadvantages and its advantages. But I kind of curious to see how that is going to play out. So we'll wait and see. Not only that, bear in mind that you have now, like I think Jade mentioned, that there's people who calling for maybe a prime minister from Nevis, and there's all these things happening. Yeah. It's funny how in my lifetime we went from like secession to like
A
unity government to like, let's have a prime minister from Nevis.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm proud of y'all.
interested how we go between that. And a lot of times, sometimes we go from one extreme to the next and don't really even recognize it. Like, one of the things I was thinking about when we had health and herbal tea the other day was when I speak to like my grandparents, when I speak to their friends and stuff like that, that they tell me about, even my parents, and I talk about how hard it was, how many people had a trouble just getting enough nutrients, getting enough food, getting enough calories. Like, there were a lot of people who were struggling with just finding 3 square meals a day. And within their lifetime, we're at a point where we now one of the most obese nations in the world.
Well,
so it's just like we go from these extremes sometimes. Like, so yes, it was something to celebrate that year. We got to a point where people were more able to feed themselves and feed their families. There were less people under the poverty line and all of these things. But then look where we gone. So it's the same thing. The political sphere, like, we're gonna have to wait and see where we go. Like, we're gonna have to wait and see because.
But we're going to definitely continue this conversation on Monday because this triggered something.
Oh, yes.
And there's a comment that I want to respond to, but we're out of time. We have a guest. So we'll take a very short break and come back with more Island Tea right here on WINNMedia SKN. Stay tuned.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9. WINN FM.
Insurance Company Limited, where you get more coverage for less.
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects our sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib, it's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
Hold on, stop. Think about the drink before you take a drop. Read up on the label on the back. They say science sugar low in fat, but don't be fooled by that. Drink some water, share some love. Tell your body you're sweet enough. Drink some water, share some love. Tell somebody you're sweet enough. Drink some water, share some love. Tell your body you're sweet enough. Drink some water, share some love. Tell somebody, hey.
This message is brought to you by Lake Health and Wellbeing.
If you own or work with animals, please follow these tips to avoid getting the coronavirus. Please keep pets away from areas where you are preparing food and eating your meals. Thoroughly wash your hands after handling animals and animal waste. Avoid contact with sick or stray animals. And always remember to wear protective gowns, gloves, and facial protection when handling them. As the novel coronavirus spreads, it is important that you continually disinfect your home. Viruses can gather on surfaces such as doorknobs, computer keyboards and mouse, cell phones, tablets, railings, kitchen and bathroom countertops, and remote control devices. To avoid transfer of viruses, wipe down these surfaces regularly with disinfectants such as Clorox, Lysol wipes, or soap and water. Avoid touching your face or your loved one's faces after touching any of these types of surfaces. It is very easy for viruses to be transferred in this way. When preparing food, be sure to use different knives and cutting boards for raw meats and cooked foods. Wash your hands before and after handling raw meats. Also, wash your hands before and after using cooked food. Be sure to cook food thoroughly before eating it. This is a message from the Ministry of Health and the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA.
Welcome back to Island Tea with your faves, Kevon and Azem, featuring Jade, Gwenny Gwen, Cross and Cool Johnson.
Cross and Cool.
We're now joined in the studio by our friends from the Inland Revenue Department. Is department? That's the Bhutan department? Or is just Inland Revenue?
Inland Revenue Department, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Welcome and good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. So let the people know who you are. Let the people know who you are.
Okay, good morning. My name is Narvin Rollins. I'm the supervisor for the Property Valuation Unit at Inland Revenue.
Oh, awesome. So since you are involved in that particular department, I would assume that we're speaking a bit about property tax today?
Correct.
All right, so what's happening?
Okay.
No more property tax?
Unfortunately, no. That is not the case. We are just here to remind persons that we would have sent out the demand notice or the tax bills. All of them went out on or before the second week in April. So persons should expect a tax bill in the mail. The deadline for such payment is on June the 30th of each year. So persons are reminded to come into the department and pay their taxes. We're also asking you if you would have received the mail already to come in, or even if you haven't received the mail, to come in and try to pay your taxes. June is one of the roughest month for us. Property taxes due in June. You have also other tax types during June, and wheel tax, one of the taxes that is also during June, all vehicles ending with 6. So it means that June is one of the busiest time for us. So if you have your tax bill, or even if you don't have it, come in and start making payment. If you have not received a tax bill, then you're expected to contact the Inland Revenue Department via telephone 465-8485. You could ask to be transferred to either 3463, 3464, or 3470. Or you can email us at you could email me, narvin.rollins@ird.gov.kn. That is Narvin, NORVIN@ird.gov.kn. Or you could send an email to anyone at Inland Revenue to get the information. What are we doing? Now, for years we've been talking about this and we are making some headway. We have been creating what we call memorandum of understanding between government departments so that we are more efficient and effective at doing what we do. So we look at sections like, for example, one of our biggest players is the physical planning, where they approve all the plans. So we are now trying to be more proactive and getting the building inspectors to send us all of the properties that would have been constructed, and we do have a list in our hands from 2014 to now. From that list, we'll see who's building, and we have a map of St. Kitts, so we could actually pinpoint exactly where the person is building and to go out in the field and to basically pick up the information and measure the footprint of the property. Now, we are also looking at something, at having barcoded bills in the future. Makes it more effective. Instead of the cashier having to type, she would just have to scan the bill, and if all the fields in our system will be populated, as well as going green. I mean, COVID really hit us hard in terms of overseas persons. We are unable to send mails outside of the U.S. and its territories, and that has affected the revenue tremendously. So we are planning to, at some point, start sending out mails via email. That would be easy and cost-effective as well. So that's something that we are doing. Now, in relation to the overseas mail, we are asking persons to call the office 869-465-8485, or they can send an email to norvin.rollins@iadi.gov.kn. Now, we are exploring the idea of sending mails to the UK. Unfortunately, UK and Canada and every single country that has a Kittitian embassy. Now, unfortunately for us, we haven't tied down the logistics, but what we are planning to do is, through our post office, send a bag of all the mails to the post office in the UK or Canada, and have them basically push the mails through the postal system. We recognized last year that we took a hit due to COVID. A lot of the persons who own property don't have an email address, so unfortunately we weren't able to email most of them, and that affected the revenue tremendously. We are also asking those overseas owners to utilize our online portal, www.skniad.com. You could sign up to pay your taxes online. It's convenient, it's easy, and you could pay it, of course, at any time. We are also looking at stuff like mandating whether we should ask persons living overseas to have a local agent, because now that COVID is here, we are unable to can't make any contact with them, and that again has affected our revenue. We are also looking at something. We are trying to change the demand notice or the tax bill so that we could collect the email address from the person and the telephone number. So we'll have a section where the taxpayer could actually fill it out and return it to us with their email address and telephone number, just in case, God forbid, we have something like this again. We'll have the means to communicate to the taxpayer. Because I can tell you we have probably a box of maybe over 2,000 mails that we are not able to send out at this point due to COVID, due to the fact that Canada, the UK, and other countries are not accepting mails. So we're trying to find other avenues of getting out the bills, because we do know that that bill or that letter is a reminder, if you would have forgotten, that taxes are to be paid. Now, as I said, the taxes due on June the 30th of each year, failure to pay it by that time results in a 1% interest per month and a 10% penalty, one-time 10% penalty on that.
All right. Well, that's definitely understandable, and it's interesting how many ways the pandemic really affected us. A lot of people didn't even know about the issues in terms of sending mail back and forth between some of these countries, and but I'm interested to know, is there any leeway being given, based on the fact that the communication might not have gotten to some of these people. One, also, is there any discussion to provide some sort of assistance or even a payment plan for instance, people here who had properties that might have been occupied by, say, students or stuff like that, people who weren't here. Is there any discussion about assistance or way to help alleviate the pressure placed on them by COVID?
Okay, to the first question regarding persons who are affected and may not have received their bill, especially those from last year. Last year, I can't remember the date, but we continued what we call an amnesty program, where we were waiving all of the interest and penalty except $100. And then we were also waiving 10% of their tax. So persons who had outstanding taxes from 2019 and before, they could have come into the office and set up a payment plan.
Awesome.
And basically, we would have waived most of the interest except the $100 and also 10% of the tax. Now, to the second question, we also offer payment plans. So we're trying to encourage persons, especially now that we are in a pandemic and some persons may not have a job. Instead of coming into the office in June and maybe having to pay a lump sum of $400, you could set up a payment plan as early as January or even the following year and start making payments. You could make as much payments as you want to. Once you sit with one of our collectors or one of the property staff, you can actually come up with a payment plan that best suits your financial situation. So, we're trying to help the taxpayer, especially during this tough time, by offering amnesty, waiver of interest and most interest and penalty, and also a 10% waiver of the tax, and also by setting up a payment plan that suits your financial situation.
All right, cool, because I could imagine that there's some people who, especially like I said, for people who the property tax may have come from, rental fees and stuff like that to help go towards that. There might be some struggles there. So it's awesome. So guys, if you feel that is something that you could benefit from, feel free to go down to Inland Revenue and work out some kind of plan, sit with one of the representatives and see what you guys could work out. But it's interesting. You spoke about the property in here, speaking about property tax, because I do believe that is one of the areas of tax collection that people seem to not have a clear understanding about, specifically how the figures are calculated. I personally have asked questions about that, and have not really understood exactly how that works. Is there any way that you could quickly, tell us a bit about what are some of the variables that go into determining exactly how much property tax is owed on a particular property? Okay, well, first of all, we have to calculate the value of the property. Now, what affects value? Location. That's the major factor that contributes to value. And I'll show you an example. Land at Frigate Bay, we value it at about $18 a square foot, whereas land in Otley's, which is different, is valued at $5 per square foot. So location is a major factor when determining the value. And so we also have the type of material the property is built from, the size of the property, the size of the land, and other factors contribute to value. Now, we would have established prices per square foot for land in each community or each village. For example, Otley's, Molyneux, and all the other areas in the rural areas are $5, whereas those in Bastia vary depending on where they are. Ponsite is $8, whereas over at Wade's Garden, more demand is there for land in that area, and also the sale price. We've seen that sales, the price of land in that area is relatively high, so that is $10. So we have established for each community, each village, each area, a price per square foot for land. When it comes to the building, we would have contacted contractors and would have gotten a price per square foot to build in each area as well. We know in Frigate Bay at that time, 2007, it was over about $250 per square foot to build. We know for example, in my village, Newton Ground, we had used $215 per square foot to build. So it varies depending on where you are. So what we do, we go out in the field with tapes, we measure the base of your property, the footprint of your property, the outside, and then we ask you to inspect inside. Why are we inspecting inside? Now, of course, because you might have major cracks in the wall, defects, it might not be finished, or you may have a case where it's sheetrock as opposed to wood, to concrete or opposed to wood. And those affect value as well, so we visit inside. Then once we are finished drawing that building, we come back to the office, we calculate the area of the property, and then we multiply that area. For example, let's say the area was about 200 square feet, and the price per square foot in Newton Ground is $215. When we do the multiplication,
and depreciate it, of course, because let's say the property has a depreciation of, let's say, 10%. Once we do the calculation, depreciate it, and take into consideration also the condition, we end up with, let's say, a value of about $30,000 for the building. Right? Once we calculate that $30,000 for the value, all buildings that are under $80,000 are exempt from taxes. So if you have a residential building and it's under $80,000, then you don't pay taxes on the building. In this case, this property would be exempt from taxes. However, the taxes would still have to be paid on the land.
Oh, okay.
So
I got you.
in this case, we worked it out to be $30,000. And so it's exempt from the building part, but the taxes will have to be on the land. Now let's use an example where the property value is over $80,000. Let's say we went out, we found that the building's square footage was 400 square feet, and the property value ended up being around $100,000 for the building itself. We would subtract the $80,000 from that, leaving a taxable value of $20,000. And let's say the rate is 0.2%. When you multiply that 0.2% by the $20,000, you end up with $40 on the building. So the tax on the building will be $40. Whereas, let's say the land, it's about $30,000 in value. You would multiply that as well by 0.2%, and you will come up with an amount of $60. So we end up with the 60 for the land, 40 for the building. You add both of them, and you pay $100 in property taxes. So, as I was saying earlier, we use price per square foot depending on where things are, both for land and building, and come up with a value. Also, using depreciation, using condition, using the type of material that the building is made from. Those are factors that contribute to the building value. And then we calculate the value of the land based on the price per square foot in certain areas.
Okay, sweet. Understanding that, people may be building to try and earn some type of residual income or some sort of secondary income from the property. It would be helpful if they were able to, know what these costs were ahead of time when making the decisions. Is that information available? Meaning the value assigned to the land in different places and stuff like that. Is that information that we could get from the Inland Revenue?
Yes, it's available. It's just that it's not posted anywhere. But if you call and ask, we definitely would give you that information.
Okay, awesome. I think Jade had a question. Jade?
Yes, so is the ambience of the neighborhood a factor in determining taxable value?
It is a factor. Of course, in the case, and I don't wish to pick on any one village, but there are villages that we know, the ambience, you might have, for example, a mechanic shop, a pig pen, that affects value, of course. Right. So those things are deterrents and would lower the value of the property.
All right. And in terms of is there a process by which someone could query the value that's assigned to the property? If so, what is it? And also, how often does one be reevaluated, or can one be reevaluated?
Okay. To the first question about querying the value of your property, you can come to the office, visit, ask questions, ask us how we calculate the value, and we would explain that to you. You could also, if you're not satisfied, you could fill out an objection form, objecting to the value of the building or the land, and we would have another officer, not the same officer who valued it, another officer look at the value and determine if it was fair. Interestingly, in our act, we're supposed to post what we call a valuation list. And if you and Jade were neighbors in the same neighborhood.
Hey, neighbor.
That's good. Let's say, for example, Jade saw her value and it was $100,000, and she wasn't satisfied that that's her value. There's a valuation list that we're responsible for posting, and so she might ask, what is your value? And we're expected to tell her. And once we tell her, she should be able to make the comparison and see if her value was fairly done.
Right.
If she's been discriminated, if her value was done based on the principles and not just based because, of some other reason. So there is transparency when it comes to value. Anybody can walk into the department and say, can you tell me what is the value of my neighbor's property? And we are obligated to tell them. That's a means of transparency, that we are applying the tax, the price per square foot across the board without discrimination.
And is that only applicable to someone who is in your same community, or?
No, it doesn't. You could actually come and ask for it.
When I say that, I mean, for instance, I may be looking at building, again, somebody, thinking about building and trying to get an idea of all the cost moving forward. Can I come and say, hey, this is what I'm thinking about building a property similar to this. What's the value? What's the cost? So I could then work out what the property tax
Sure,
would
you
be.
can come and do that, and we would give the information to you.
Okay. All right. Awesome.
The other.
Go ahead.
I don't actually remember the other question, but.
Oh, the one that I asked?
No,
the one that you asked.
No, it was just that. It was just that one at the time.
Okay.
But yeah, I really appreciate you coming and joining us here today. Is there anything you wanna say before we wrap up?
Okay, we want to remind persons to take advantage of the online platform that we have, www.sknird.com, and you could actually sign up to pay your taxes online. You could also pay your taxes via the National Bank platform. You actually could go there and pay it, or go online and pay it. We're trying to encourage persons to come in as early as this month to pay your property tax, because, as I said, June is one of the toughest months for Inland Revenue. The lines are very long and people tend to get frustrated. So we're asking you to visit, if you can, to make it easier on you, especially during COVID times, to basically sign up and pay it online. The tax is due on or before June the 30th, so we expect persons to comply. If there is some reason why you can't comply, we are saying do not stay at home or put the bill under your bed. Call us, email us, visit the office.
Yeah.
They're so warm.
Visit us at the office, and we could actually work out a payment plan for you.
Also, someone on the live was wondering what the email address was again. Can you just repeat?
My email address is norvin.rollins@ird.gov.kn. The reason why I'm confusing it, because we recently changed emails. So I keep confusing it, but it's norvin.rollins@ird.gov.kn.
And how do you spell Norvin and
NORVIN.RAWLINS@ird.gov.kn. We are doing a lot of field visits this time around. As I said, we would have received a 100-page document from physical planning with all the buildings that were done between 2014 and now. So we're in the field assessing properties. This is something we do regularly, but the list confirms of a lot of the things we didn't have. We're in the field measuring and also valuing in an effort to bring persons up to date. Once we would have realized that you are registered for land, and we go out and we discover that there's a building there, we start charging your tax on the building as well, effective this year. So we're in the field, we are more active, we have a lot more, we have information that is being shared between departments easily, so it gives us, we are more efficient at doing our job, and we don't just drive around and look for houses that are recently built.
Right. Well, awesome. Thank you so much for coming in today, giving us this wealth of information. Always a pleasure when our friends from Inland Revenue Department come here, even though we got to give them money. But I really do appreciate you coming.
You're receiving services in exchange.
Indeed.
So it's a good trade.
It's a good trade-off. All right, man. I really appreciate it.
Okay.
Hey guys, that was our friends from Inland Revenue Department again. We're gonna take a short break and be right back with more Island Tea right here on WINNMedia SKN. Stay tuned.
back to Island Tea with your faves, Kevon and Azem featuring Jade, Gwen Johnson.
Yes, sir. We're back.
And it's time to jump into is it Express Eat Local?
Yes, good morning, guys. How are you doing today?
All right.
Yeah, go ahead again.
Yes, so we're good.
I'm good. Everything good, man.
All right, so you guys introduce yourselves so the people know who we got in the studio here today.
My name is Nick Brown, the United Jets captain.
All right, nice.
Yes, and my name here is Samuel Duggins, and I am new partner with the Old United Jets.
Old United Jets. So, and just for people who might not be as not as up to date as in the sports thing, you guys, you guys are now firmly cemented in the national Premier Division of the FA.
Yes, we are currently in 6th place, trying to stay in the Super 6.
All right, sweet. And how the season been? Because I know it's been a little up and down, based on the whole COVID situation. Start of the league, the season getting pushed back, and limited fans. How the season been?
Well, for me and for the team, well, other teams could attest to it too. The fact that no fans, kind of hard, kind of strange, but it's football still at the end of the day, so you still got to kick on.
Right, definitely.
And how have you adjusted to being the captain of the team, especially in this climate?
Well, throughout my years playing football, I always been like captain of the team, so it never been like a problem. But during this COVID thing, we seen that we had to be like distance ourselves from each other, and football was hard for a while. It was hard to like keep the players them like mind on football, and so it's been a challenge. But the players, we and the players, everybody else on the same page, so we're good to go.
Yeah, I could imagine that. I've been watching some of the games. I've been the games are streamed live on the FA's Facebook page. I've been watching the games, and to be honest, and I've heard other people speak about this, but the quality of the football that's being played by you guys right now is really good to see, especially from a team that has so many young players as well. I think that's a real testament to your coaching staff, to the type of players that you guys are. But you have a guy sitting next to you there, who has come on board to partner with the team. Samuel, tell us a bit about what this partnership is, what it looks like, and also what would have inspired you to partner the team in that way.
Yeah, well, for me, I would like to start with my idea of who the team is and what the team is. What you see on the field isn't just a group of footballers. Like, these guys actually hang out together like all day.
Mm-hmm.
And this has been going on, I understand, since they came out of daycare.
Wow. Right.
Yeah, so the team is really like a group of friends that would have been playing football together from childhood all the way up. Mm-hmm. And you see that camaraderie on the field, like the confidence they have to pass to each other. You recognize where most teams would take wider passes. They just touch to each other because you could see that confidence and that camaraderie.
And a familiarity.
Yes. So for me, that is one of the fundamental bases to start with. In terms of why the partnership, when we really look at what the partnership is, it's Montreal Farms, and we are fortunate enough to have Cleanright as a co-partner in this
Right.
venture. But Montreal Farms sits at Franklands in Oldwood. So I don't even think it needs much other questions as to reasons as to why.
Right.
You know, the farm is actually
part of the community.
Yes, so helping the community team was only a natural bet.
Right.
And it also helped that I actually know the players. And as a teacher, former teacher of Virtual High School, I've either taught or I've went to school with the parents. So the team is very familiar to me, you know, like I taught some of them. I went to school with some of them. I've gone to school with their parents.
Right.
You know, so it was just a natural coincidence, if you want to call it that, because it wasn't on the forefront of my agenda. But then I remember one of the coaches came and he asked and kind of dismissed it. Another coach came and asked. And then members of the executive came and asked. And I realized, okay, wait, this is about 5 different persons asking for this now.
Right.
So maybe I should pay some attention.
Right.
And then I just kind of like listened to what they were saying, and I recognized, you know what, it would be a really good opportunity, you know, and what it means for the players as well. Like, as a teacher, I saw a number of systematic foundation issues that I would love to address, and a lot of that stemmed from a lack of hope and a lack of motivation within the community. So for me, as somebody who big on that, I mean, from Island Expression, Be You Feel Free, Express Yourself, I mean, if you know me all my life, it's about giving people hope and motivation, you know? So this team is just an extension of that person and that being.
Right, and I could imagine, you know, especially the fact that, you know, the team is right now positioned to move on into the Super Six, and hopefully, you know, that comes to fruition, I'm sure. How does it feel to see, you know, the Montreal Farm logo and the chest of these guys who really go out and represent themselves and the community in such a positive way?
You know, that's big, you know, but I want us to understand, because there's big and there's really big. Now, obviously, as a corporate partner, you love to see your advertising, you know, and that's a given.
Right.
But what's bigger for me in this situation is that what it means to the actual players.
Right.
Like, when you understand what that means to them, and I wouldn't even want to discuss it, because I think Quan is here and he could attest to what, you know, they have shared with me. And, you know, that is bigger for me, to see the pride that they wear it with.
Yeah, but Quan, how does it feel to know that you have, you know, between Montreal Farms and also Clean Right, these companies from the community that are willing to partner with you guys, to support you guys in so many different ways? How does it feel to be, you know, representing them on the field as well?
Well, it's an honor, first and foremost, because back then it wasn't like we had this, you know. Back then we were just like going to the park to prep for like support, like just because we love football. But now we feel like we got like something on our shoulders, like something to play for.
Right.
Yeah, like we feel like, okay, no, ain't just to play for football now, we got to give back something now.
So it really added to the sense of responsibility that you guys feel when you're on the field. Yeah, I know that goes a long way in really inspiring you guys and the type of football that you guys play. But I had the opportunity to be at the launch of the partnership, and it was a great ceremony, great atmosphere. You know, people from the community were out in the numbers and really seemed to be happy to see the team moving in this direction, partnering with people from the community. How was the launch for you?
Well, the launch was the first day for me. And things, I never had them kind of things happen to us. So we were happy. We felt like superstars. Like
I see y'all entrance, man. I see y'all entering when they call out your number and thing.
So the feeling, you know, to see like somebody doing this for you, like you feel you're grateful for it, like you're happy. So you just feel like you have to give them back something, like you have to produce, you have to do something for them.
Right.
Yeah.
So you're encouraging you to really, and you and the team to really go out and give your best.
Give your best, yeah.
Right, definitely. And there were some other people who contributed as well. I remember there was a song that was done by, I think, your boy P.
And Fuller Than, yeah.
And Fuller Than. So this really feels like a real community effort happening. And I think that was one of the things that, for me, was really good to see. The fact that it was the football team, it was the community organizations within the community who really coming back. It was the people from the community. It really felt like something that at the end of the day was a positive thing for the Old Road area, and that felt really good. I was happy I was a part of it. I think Jade.
Well, Kevon has a question, but after the question, we could actually play a bit of your song. I have it here with me, so we'll cue that up. But Kevon, you had something to ask?
Right. So we know St Kitts and Nevis is a big football world. Everybody is like invested in football, and we also see a lot of kids really interested in football and they want to join a club. What would you say to those kids that are, looking at you and you being so young and they're interested in joining a club? What advice would you give them? Steps would you tell them to take?
Well, first, playing football is like life. It's like a life thing. So I would just say you got to enjoy it, because there's a lot of hard work and sacrifices you have to take. So you just have to enjoy it. You have to love it in order for you to actually play it. So like for young children coming up, because me, I had hells and devils for my mother to try to keep me off the pitch. 7 to 8 hours, me and my friend them like all day. Mother ain't seeing us. So I just had to tell him, when you get the opportunity to play, to kick a ball, once you got a ball, you kick it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, definitely. Well, we actually, like we said, we have a clip of the song that we mentioned, which is it fair to call it the theme song for the team? The theme song for the team. So this was produced by your boy P.
Yes.
Also Fuller Than is on the track as well.
Yeah. Correct.
All right, so here we go. Okay, so I think that was actually one of the clips of the songs that was used at the launch, right? So we're gonna look for the actual song and play it. But while we're queuing up that, again, there's so much buy-in. There's so much buy-in from everybody, just around the team, in terms of really putting the support behind the team. The actual ceremony, there were a lot of people who contributed, and you want to mention any of those people?
Yes, definitely. I would like to give a lot of credit and a huge shout out to everybody. And just to itemize, you had Fuller Than and your boy P,
right,
who contributed the audio and the theme song. So they wrote that, produced that, and delivered that on behalf of the team. And then you had even the Spencer family, where the event was hosted, who actually donated the use of the space.
Right, there in Spratnet.
Yeah, at Spratnet. They donated the use of the space. Again, community individuals. So I want to say thank you to Jack and Allison and the entire family who donated this space for us to be able to do the launch.
Right.
And then you had, the person that came in and helped to clean the space because Spratnet had been down for over a year, right?
Yeah, and there's some construction happening in the area.
And the construction in the
when
area.
I heard it was at Spratnet, I was like, why?
So, the people who came in nights and nights to clean up, dust down, like it was a lot of work. So I want to say thank you to those. And then you had the amazing models that showcased the
new kits.
The new kits.
Yeah.
Again, did that for the team. So when you look at the whole idea, everybody came together just to ensure that the team had a good showing.
Right.
Everybody came
And I must say it was a really good showing. I really think you guys raised the bar in terms of the way that the image of the team is put forward and stuff like that. But we have this song queued up now, so we're gonna play it.
All right, go for it.
We got the A game, A game, A game, A game. We got the A game, Free them simple attack, we put goal in a net. Free them, release a run, and we a step. Free them, canary wash up, so you know what say you're dead. Free them, come let we put them in a freezer. Put goal in a net, put hole in a net. One, take the ball by your chest. Pass it half to the left. Fish, pass the ball on to baller. Baller pass to your father. A-game score from the corner. Monkey hill ball and water. Go feed them. Fish go feed them. Ninja go feed them. We go feed them. And we go feed them. Zebu go feed them. Abwe go feed them. Shooter we go feed them. Skilati. Bring the Yati, let me go. Tell Blee and link up Maris and OJ, let me go. Yo, Hammy, link up Silpy, let me go feed them. Go feed them. But see them there.
This song make me want to play up some football, man. let me join the team.
They understand, but
I'm sorry, I'm a Newton fan.
Yeah. About Newton, I can't be by. Make me want.
That song got me feel a little,
Yeah, I might start with a blue by. But yeah, man, like it's just awesome to see so much people coming and putting the support behind the team. But also, we spoke briefly about the new kits and stuff like that.
Yeah, the kits for you.
Who are some of the people who helped design the kits, if you remember?
Yeah, so the kit design was something that I myself and Azem put together. Along with the members of the team, we would take design concepts to the team, and they would be able to, say back and forth what it felt like. Yeah. And we had a process, because this process started actually in February.
Oh, wow.
So it was a process of what material. So this was really a team effort, and an effort that was directed by the players. Right. So the first material we had this shirt in, they didn't approve.
Right.
So when we got the sample, they didn't approve. We went back and got a better material in terms of, when I say better, in terms of what they prefer.
Right.
And, we now have something, again, that they feel proud of. And that was the idea, but the kits were designed by Azem and myself.
All right, awesome.
Well, we have somebody on the live saying, bigging up Samuel and the captain, coming from the head coach and the assistant coach.
All right then. Zaya. Scratchy.
Yeah, but again, speaking back to the kids, like, where could people get their replicas available? People could really show their support by getting some of the replicas?
Oh yes, the replicas are available, and it goes beyond just the kit of the team. As you can see, we have face masks, we have backpacks, and if you don't prefer the actual jersey look, there are polos as well.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, everything, man.
Yeah. It's
not tempting me, but I can't tell
and we have balls.
Right, indeed, a lot of balls.
But we actually do have football, Olo Jets football.
Oh, so awesome.
So that is actual thing.
Azem, what you thought they meant anyway?
but that's the only thing you could have meant, Jade. Yeah, I was trying to. Anyway.
So they could get any of those. On Saturdays, usually there's pop-up shops down in the community.
All right, sweet.
Right where the guys hang out every day.
All right.
So there's a pop-up shop there.
That's right on the main road there.
On the main road
right.
at the bottom of Station Street.
All right.
So where can people follow your journey, the football journey? Like what pages, you know, what's the schedule looking like? How can people show the support?
So everything is really channeled through the Old World Jets Facebook, social media pages. So if I remember correctly, is Jade, you could help me there. You're behind the computer.
Yeah.
I think yesterday I saw it was Old World Jets FC.
Yes, it's Old World Jets, but everything could be. You could stay in tune there because everything is channeled through there. Upcoming games, upcoming events.
Yes, it's actually Old World United
Jets.
FC.
There you go.
Right. Awesome. But so when is the next game?
Sunday.
Against who?
Spurs.
Oh, licked in that. Spurs.
Oh, okay.
Yes, and there'll also be watch parties in the community. So the different establishments have agreed to actually host watch parties.
Oh, and broadcast the game.
And broadcast the game. And
awesome.
Yes.
Awesome.
So before we wrap up, Nikwan, you have any little words for Spurs? Because they might think that you come in late, you know, give them a little something. Let them know that you're not playing with them on Sunday.
Well, I mainly want to brag, but I just want to say, for my team especially, ain't talking about nobody else's team, I just want my team to go out there, do the best, and get the 3 points. I don't brag, so.
The man does it talking on the pitch.
I left it on the pitch.
Yeah.
This is all like 3 sure points.
Yeah, well, you hear the thing, you know. Guff with them.
Yeah, but guys, like time's fast spent, and we're gonna have to wrap up in a little bit. Any last words?
Well, I just want to thank everybody in the community for the support, teammates, coaches, executive, partnership, everybody on board. So we're really grateful. This is from me and the players.
Right.
We're really grateful, and we want to give back something to y'all.
Like a championship?
Yeah.
Yes, so for me, I would love to thank the community as well. Because I see it. I see the way they come out, they respond, and I love that. Because that was the idea. Like I said, as a corporate partner, there's always a joy of seeing your logo, yes. But it's an even greater joy when that logo means something to the people that actually support the establishment.
Right.
So I just want to say thank you to the entire... and it's not just Old Road, let's make that clear. And that's why it's called United Jets. Mm-hmm. So this is their players from Boys and Trinity, their players from Challengers, their players from all over. Mm-hmm. So the whole idea, the impact is felt throughout all these communities. And I want to say thank you to all the communities for their support.
All right, that's awesome, man, and I really want to wish you guys all the best in this upcoming season.
We can't root for you, but we do it secretly.
I mean, the blue looking kind of good, yeah, Jade.
Yeah,
bye.
A song and a little color.
Bye, watch it, man. I'm playing some good football. I'm playing some good football. Like, what am I do? Like,
no, the thing, I go back them secretly. Nobody got to know.
Yeah, nobody got to know.
With y'all in spirit.
But guys, it's been a real pleasure having you guys come in here. And again, like we said, from us here on Island T, really wishing you all the best, injury-free season moving forward. But guys, guess what? It's Friday.
We got excited because Monday right there.
Monday right there. You get off this Monday.
So?
Right.
Yes.
Kevon, he said like that means something.
Right? I mean, if we could do it with another one, but okay.
Actually, the next one is, but the next one coming soon. Next one is with
the 21, 28, I think it was.
24, yeah.
Yeah, with Monday. Yeah, I don't tell her, they just need to come down and let's do this 4 day work week.
I would it.
Yeah, we need to make that happen.
Mm-hmm.
We need to make that happen.
I agree.
I running on that platform there. I must win.
Yeah.
But yes, we hear Sandra, which is coming up next. Stay tuned for her. She is coming up the steps as we speak. I can hear her. So Kevon, just take us out with a little tiny message for the people, get them through the weekend.
Because remember, you can't be everybody's cup of tea because you is not a mug. See you on Monday.